Forgiveness. The Torah tells us that we're required to attach ourselves to Hashem. How can we become immortal and attach ourselves to Hashem? And Gemara tells us, just as Hashem is merciful, we must be merciful. We have to learn how to just put the fork and pitch the fork and let it go. It's so important. When something's bothering you, to hold on to a grudge. It's not going to it's not going to help us in any way. But it's so important that we just have to practice forgiveness. Let things go. Look the other way. Benjamin Franklin had something which was fantastic. Before marriage, open both eyes. After marriage, close one. Very important. Okay. And then little things are so critical to a great marriage. A wife who makes her husband a cup of coffee, sews a button on his shirt, walks her husband to the door, buys him a shaver to replace the one broke, straightens up his office, schedules that much needed dentist appointment for him, is showing love, which evokes a feeling in return. It's reciprocity. It's always going to engender a desire for payback. And that's going to happen automatically. So it's important. Surprising each other with gifts, leaving little notes of endearment, lending a hand, straightening up, bringing each other cold drinks and walking in, leaving a piece of chocolate on their pillow. All these things are critical and it's very important. The little things in life are what make the great, grand marriages. Let me close with a beautiful story. There was a couple who got married in Israel. And they got married around Shavuos time. And the chassan's grandma had a beautiful minhag that she always used to come to the prospective kala coming into her family and present her with a piece of jewelry. She was a well-to-do woman. So, same thing happened to this girl, Zahava. Her future chassan's grandma came one day and presented her with a magnificent ring, even nicer than what he gave her. And so she put it on, but she was embarrassed to tell her that it was very loose, but she took her wedding band and put it on in front of it, and then the night of the wedding, she danced the night away, everything was fantastic. Sheva Brachas was by his family's house in Netanya. After lunch, she came back with her husband, and her mother-in-law says, Zahava, where's the ring? It's not on your finger. She was turned white as a ghost. I don't know, what could it be? Now we took a walk, but could you imagine if I lost it on the sand in the beach, where they had taken a walk? It's practically impossible to find. And she says to her husband, Zevi, maybe I took it off to wash Nigel Vastra yesterday in our apartment. They lived about 20 minutes away from Netanya. And she was hoping all day that it was there. Meanwhile, the mother-in-law went upstairs to the room that they had, the Chanasas Orchem room, and went through all her private stuff. She was mortified, didn't know where to hide. And then she came down and she said, do you have any idea what that ring cost? Something like $8,000. And she was so embarrassed. Anyway, there was a chill in the air between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law. After Shabbos, Zevi made too sweet out of there, ran back there, checked the apartment high and low, came back, told her it's not there. From that day on, there was a cold, frigid freeze between her and her mother-in-law. Through the summer, things were not that great. So the father of the boy decided, you know what, I can't allow this to go on. He invited the young couple to come and have like a peace seuda. Let's get back together. And they bought them an expensive vase, which they were going to give them after the end of the meal when they would escort them outside the apartment. He gave it to his wife to give to her daughter-in-law. Wonderful mother-in-law that she was. She's about to give it to her when she says, on second thought, maybe Zevi should carry it. After all, you know what happened with the ring. World War III erupted. She said, that's it, I'm done with this family, I'm never coming back to you ever again, it's over. That's it, no more discussion. Now it's Rosh Hashanah, and he goes to get his frock, Bekasha, from the closet, and he puts it on. He goes, honey, you know, you're such a great cook, I can't even close it. As he's attempting to close it, he feels there's a lump right here by the chest. He puts his hand in there, out comes the ring. And she's like beside herself. She says, wow, I'm vindicated. The first person I'm calling is your mother to tell her that you're the Shlamazel and not me. I'm going to tell her now. And she calls up and she says, see, it wasn't me, it was your son after all. She felt like a 50-pound bowling ball off her shoulder. And from that day on, he was like the recipient of all her little digs. If she asked him to go to the bank, she would say to him, you know what, maybe I should hire you a security guard after you know what happened with the ring. Forgot that. Or if she asked him to take the children to the park, she'd give him a little dig, should I come with you? You don't want to lose the kids on the way there. He never said a word. And years went by and they had many children. 15 years later, grandma's in Olam and MS. You know how women are, they get a hankering for new jewelry. And grandma had one specific jeweler she used to like to shop and buy in Yerushalayim. And she walked in there and says, you know, my husband's grandmother used to shop here. Sure, I remember her. She was a beautiful customer. Came for years. And she bought me this ring. He goes, very nice. Let me look at it. He looks at it, praises it. He goes, wow, it's worth at least $16,000. Double what you're saying she paid for it. But I have to tell you something. I didn't sell this ring. I know my merchandise. This is not something I sold. I would remember this piece. What do you mean? She only shopped by you. No problems. Go home, open the kasefet, open the safety deposit box that you have in your house, bring me the GIS certificate, and we'll just check it out. So she goes home, she does the combination, opens it up, and she sees everything's in order in terms of the certificate until one document catches her attention and she turns white as a ghost. She waits for Zevi to come home. She tells Zevi, Zevi, Grandma gave me the piece of jewelry. Yeah, sure, what's the problem? She says, you know what, I got bored of it. I want to trade up. So I went to Grandma's jeweler and he said, it doubled in value. Oh great, we're going to make money on it. He says, so buy yourself whatever you want. He says, but there's one problem. We got married in the springtime. And there's a receipt in the safe for September 9th, right before Rosh Hashanah. Doesn't make sense. And she says, I figured it out. All those years you weren't around two nights a week. You were working a second job. You bought me a new ring in order to make me happy so I would make up to your parents, and you never said a word to me about it. And you took all my digs for all those years and you didn't even try to get revenge. I don't know what's the diamond. If it's actual ring or you that I'm married to. That was an amazing story. We hope that, Be'ezus Hashem, we should be able to have fantastic marriages. Thank you so much for inviting me here tonight, and I'm happy and privileged to have been here. Hopefully we'll all be able to apply what we learned. We should have fantastic marriages.